Everybody, welcome to my world and to my Sunday live. Well, today it's the Sunday before Christmas and we have brilliant sunshine outside, although it's cold and it's going to get colder. They think we're going to have an Arctic blast later in in the early part of next week. That'll get us in the Christmas mood, I guess. So, as I say, welcome to my live. If anybody's out there, perhaps you go ahead and just put in the chat box. Tell me that you're out there, where you're from. I'd certainly enjoy you taking part with me today. Okay, so I titled my live today, Playing with Embossing and Die Cuts. And I'm going to make a card. Now, the whole point about the live is that basically it's unrehearsed, and that I'm going to be kind of working along with the card with you, and I will ask for suggestions, comments that you may have. And so I'm going to be using one of the new products that's going to be available in the early part of the new year. And this is the Country Gingham Designer Series paper. And as you can see, it's got lots of lovely check patterns in 4 different colours. So we've got mint macaron, sweet sorbet, that's balmy blue, and we've got at the end, I think that's pale papaya. So what I did was I chose one colour and I chose a stamp set. In fact, I chose 2 stamp sets. Unusually for me, I am using 2 stamp sets, and I chose some colours. So that's about as far as I got. And the colours I chose, my ink colours, are Blushing Bride and Sweet Sorbet. It's a long time since I used either of those colours, and I thought that that would make a good combination. I'm also going to do some heat embossing, which again is something I love to do as well. And I'm going to create a card, and I'm going to be using this leaf with the this greeting, a heartfelt thank you. And then I'm going to use these stamps here to create a flower. So let's make a start. Now, unusually, I am actually going to emboss on my decorative piece of paper. And because I'm using pinks and flowers, I decided I would have the mint macaron. And so I'm going to cut a piece. As you can see, it comes 6 by 6. So I'm going to cut a piece that is 5 by 3 3/4, and this will make a mat that I can stamp onto. So that's my first part, and you'll be helping me later to work out what colours I'm gonna put underneath that. Now, my greeting, my leaf and my greeting, I'm going to actually heat emboss. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my stamp down on here. And I want to leave enough room up here to put some flowers. Since it is so close to Christmas, it's time for a bit of Christmas music. Although I have to say that the local radio station has been belting out Christmas music since November the 11th, believe it or not. I mean, that here in the States, that's like a week before Thanksgiving, which was just, it's just been too much for me to cope with for that long. Right, so I've managed to get a bit of extra on here that I don't want. I must have touched down with my stamp before actually I was ready. But that's what you can use this little, you can use a little brush to get your powder off before you actually start, and giving it a bit of a bang on the back actually helps loosen or shift any loose. Okay, have we got anybody out there? I can see that there are some folks. Maybe you'll go ahead and let me know you're there. Don't be shy. Right, so I'm nearly there. Now, this was a bit careless of me, I think, to actually have touched down on my paper, but it just shows you that, you know, well, I don't like that at all because it's down here as well. Okay, we're going to start again. I'm going to get another piece of paper and I'm going to have another go. Now see, if this was a recorded video, I would be able to stop now and redo, but it's not going to work for me. So as you can see, we all have issues when things don't go right for us for the day. We have to start again. So let's start again and hopefully we get it right this time. I'll just put a bit more ink on, and I've got to be careful this time that I don't lay it down too early. I think somebody's outside mowing their lawn. Why they would be mowing their lawn at this time of year, I don't know. Okay, fingers crossed everybody. Let's make sure that this is actually good. There, got it right this time. Okay, so it just shows even those of us who are experienced needs to be a little bit careful when they're doing their stamping. So it's going to be a bit noisy for a few moments while I melt this, but you'll see, and I just love this, when I introduce somebody to heat embossing for the very first time, when they see it turn from that real dull grey sort of colour into a lovely shiny silver, it's just wonderful. There, all it takes is a few moments and we're done. Okay, so anybody got any questions? Oh, I can see that I haven't cooked it enough, and I'm going to show you why. If you look, the light catches where it's actually been melted and it's shiny, but can you see just there, it's still grey. So that means I just need to go back in and just melt that piece and we're good. There we are. All right, so our next is to decide what we should back it to. Now, I'm going to put it on a white card because that's going to cover all eventualities. So, as I say, I'm going to be using Blushing Bride, which is this. and I'm going, and as I said earlier, this piece is mint macaron. So I'm just wondering which would be a good back. Bearing in mind that I'm going to have some flowers. And I did prepare one so we could make this decision. And this is going to be my flower. So I wonder if anybody's got any thoughts about how that might work. Should we do it on the mint macaron, or should we put it on the blushing bride? Well, I think you're all shy today, so I'm gonna have to decide for myself. I must admit, I quite like the idea of the sort of tone on tone look, and then the pink giving us the pop. I'm going to go with the pink. So my layer here is going to be 5 1/4 by 4. Ooh, you can tell it's Christmas. The post office are out on a Sunday. Goodness. So there's my layer. And it's going to go like this. Which I think, yeah, I think that's got a nice contrast now. I think with the pink, I probably would have lost the pop that my flowers are going to give me. So we're just going to add that to my card base, or to my next layer. And we'll just flip that over and just gently smooth my adhesive down like that. Okay. Well, that's going to go on like that. Oh, I love the freshness. That looks really fresh, don't you think? Okay. Right. So now our flowers. So as I said, I'm going to be using this stamp set, Art Gallery, and it's a photopolymer stamp set. And you can see that this has been well loved, and it is a little bit discoloured, and that's because the photopolymer will pick up the red in any ink. And so and although these are clean, as I say, they have been discoloured. Now this doesn't affect the way that they work. They're not going to transfer any pink or red onto any of your paper. Right. Now let's get my bits and pieces. So as I say, I did do the big flower. Now the big flower, this is a more solid. That gives you the background. That gives you this pale pink piece. And then the one that you layer over the top has got less stamp on it, but a bit more detail. And I did that in the darker colour. And that's what's known as two-step stamping. And it really is effective for getting the depth of colour onto your images. So I'm going to do the small flowers. I'm going to do 2 small flowers. So I'm going to start with this one. This is the sort of the background part of the stamp, and it's sort of got less detail, and I'm going to do that in the lighter colour. So this is the blushing bride. So I'm going to stamp it and just give it a moment for the ink to transfer. And then I'm going to do my second one over the other side. Like that. And then I'm going to add my darker colour, and that's my sweet sorbet. So this actually is going to line up into the middle of this little flower blossomy type thing. So I'm just going to basically line up to the middle. Now this isn't going to match exactly. It's not intended to. It's supposed to be kind of a water colour effect. So there's our stamping. I've managed to get some ink on me, so I'm going to get rid of that before it ends up on all my card. And then I'm just going to clip this in half so that I can cut them out. Just clear a little space for myself. And this is where my cute little cut and emboss machine. I love this machine. I use it an awful lot. In fact, the other day I was sat making my Christmas cards, watching the TV and die cutting pieces because it fitted perfectly on my lap. Right, so I'm going to line up my die, and so you can, if you look carefully, you'll see that these little pieces down here will line up with the die and at the top. But I recommend that you do that while it's down on the platform, so that you don't have to move it. And then I'm going to put a couple of sticky notes just to make sure that it doesn't shift while I'm cutting. I'll pop that in there, crank it through gently. And let's see what we've got. There we go. There's one little flower. So we'll just take this off, and we're just going to quickly cut the other one out. So we're going to pop that in, lay down my piece, and we're going to just wiggle it around until it all lines up. And my little posty bits, my little sticky bits. And then work it on through. Right, so I think I'm done. Now, does anybody have any questions for me? What is it, and maybe you'd like to tell me what it is that you've been doing today. So when I'm working with dies, I always keep this little pot on my workstation so that I can put them in or out, and then I know exactly where they are and I'm less likely to lose them. Nothing more heartbreaking than not having or losing one of your dies. Okay, so I'm going to put some dimensionals here. If you watch my videos, of which there's over 300 on my channel, you'll know that I love things to be popped up on dimensionals. I use a lot of them. Right, so we're going to make sure that's the right way up, and a little bit previous there it started, oh, started to stick itself down. I nearly put it upside down. There we go. And then my flowers. So I was thinking that I could put my flowers sort of like this. To fill that top corner. Like that. What do you think? Think that's going to work? I think I will. I think I'll pop them like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick these two down directly onto my card base with a little liquid adhesive. And let's make sure that, I think that's going to work. And then this one. And while it's still wet, I can go in and just see if it's in the right place. I might just give that a little bit of a nudge. And then I'm going to pop this last one up, this big flower. I'm going to pop that up. On some dimensionals. And I just want to cover the top of that stem there and make sure that this doesn't go outside the footprint of my card. Yes, I really like that. What do you think? Now my final flourish is going to be some of these iridescent pearls. You can see I don't have very many left because I just love them. And I'm going to, there's some large and some small ones. So I think I'm going to put the large one in the middle of my large flower. And then I'm going to put a small one in the center of each of my smaller flowers. And I think I'm done. Anybody got any comments or questions? I can see some of you are watching. Okay. Well, that is my card today. As I say, we have looked at some more of the designer series paper, the decorative paper that's going to be coming out in the new year. The one I did last week, also used some paper. We've done some heat embossing, and I've used a couple of stamp sets that are in the annual catalogue, and we end up with a really, really pretty card. Well, I hope you've enjoyed joining me today while I worked my way through this card. As I say, I don't rehearse. I just sort of think about it, pull a few bits and pieces together, and then work it through while I'm with you live. Now, next Sunday will be Christmas Day, so I won't be joining you. We'll all be hopefully enjoying time with friends and family. But I will be back the week after. If you've enjoyed this video, this live, please go ahead, give me a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. And if you don't already subscribe, then hit the subscription button, and then you'll get notified each time I do a video or a live. And if you're watching this after the live, then maybe you'd like to put a comment or two underneath. Well, once again, I appreciate you joining me. Merry Christmas, happy holidays. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.